All right, good morning and welcome to Masechas Beitzah Daf Yud Daled 14. Zachaver Shali is a Shalom. Shalom, Tagid Shalom. Tagid Shalom. אני משתתף כל החברים שלי לשיר שלי. הוא בחור או אברך? הוא בחור? צריך שילוח שלום?
לא צריך להגיד לכל העולם,
אתה רוצה שידוך אחד או שתי שידוכים? We were talking about yesterday. Today actually is the 13th day of Masechas Beitzah. So it corresponds to the 13th Midah of Yigimol Midos. We talked about this yesterday. Today is Venakeh. Today is be cleansed. Yesterday was Chata, you do the sin. Today you'll be cleansed. So now that I was asking Shmuel yesterday, if you can do an Aveira, which Aveira would it be? And you can get a pardon for it. So Shmuel didn't have an answer. I said probably one of the Arayas. I'm going to explain myself a little clearer. I think maybe it's not even on the Arayas, just maybe a Takana Rabbeinu Gershom. Nice to have more than one wife. I don't know. I think men need more than one wife. It's Rabbeinu Gershom's not supposed to have that, but
Gershom was a smart man.
Jewish religion kind of forbids that. I think the Rabbanim generally forbid that still, even though 1,000 years have passed since Takanas Rabbeinu Gershom was over. Right? Is that true?
Rabbeinu Gershom lived a long time ago.
He lived 900 something, 976 or something like that. In which case, 1,000 years have passed. The Takana is over.
Was he the one that was in? No, who was the one that was in jail? Was Rabbeinu Gershom?
What's his name? The guy, Rav Meir. Rothenberg. Yeah, Rothenberg. Anyway, Rabbeinu Gershom was the rabbi of Rashi, and one of the Rebbeim of Rashi, and he made a takana that Judaism, even though we know according to Allah, according to the Torah, that many of the characters, the Jewish characters in the Bible, they had more than one wife. He instituted a new law that you're not allowed to have more than one wife. Even though halachically, the Gemara talks about it all over the place. The Rambam talks about it. You can even have Mekadesh 100 women at the same time. The Gemara talks about cases like this. It's kind of strange. The Gemara is talking about cases. You can marry, have Sheva Brach. Each have to have their own Sheva Brach. You can marry 100 women at the same time, the same day.
Okay, that's
kind of interesting. It talks about this.
All
of the Talmud.
How many examples? The Gemara gives a lot of strange
examples. All of the Talmud is filled with instances of people having more than one wife.
No, not. It wasn't so.
This is really common. Part of Jewish.
It wasn't so common.
The Torah Shabbal Peh is very mashma. It's supposed to be the law. Rabbeinu Gershom made it takana. It's been accepted. There is a way of getting around this. I'll tell you a story. There's a rabbi from Lakewood. Rav Malkiel Kotler, you heard of him? He's a Rosh Hashiva of Lakewood, BMG, Beis Medrash Gavoa, one of the leading rabbinical authorities in the world.
Okay, let's not name names and get into people's.
I'm saying he technically is married to 2 women. Did you know that?
I don't know, but I couldn't care. I mean, what do we have?
He was married in Eretz Yisrael, and he got married to a woman, and she refused to leave. And then he was called to Beis Medrash Gavoa after his father passed away, or Shneir Kotler, take over in Lakewood, but his wife refused to leave Eretz Yisrael. She wanted to stay in Eretz Yisrael. He wanted to go back to be Rosh Hashiva of Lakewood. So they had an impasse. So he got a heter me'er rabbanim. This is a way of getting around to Rabbeinu Gershom. Got 100 rabbis to sign on a document. They all said that he's allowed to now go ahead and marry a second wife.
Okay,
so he married a second wife.
Okay, let's go. Come on, this is all.
Most people don't know about this story.
It's not every Kippur talk.
Anyway, getting back to my friend. I spoke to my friend. I'm not going to mention his name because he didn't want me to mention his name. An old friend from Beitar. He called me yesterday to wish me a Gmar Chesima Tova.
Jewish, right?
He's actually not Jewish. No, he's Muslim. Yeah. So he wants to make Marcus Tova. Sounds like a Jew. He's a Jewish guy. Anyway, from guy learns more than me.
Okay.
He said he quoted of Pinchas or Pinky. What's his name?
Pinchas.
Of Pinchas.
Rav Shimshon Pinchas.
Pinchas Pinchas.
No, Rav Shimshon Pinchas. What are you doing now? It's Yom Kippur. If you have.
All right, listen. He quoted Rav Pinchas. Rav Pinchas says that if he had an opportunity, before he was a goy, he was going to be Megayer, and he was still a goy, and he could do one mitzvah. What mitzvah would he do while he's still a goy? What avera would he do while he's still a goy? He said, you're not going to believe this. He said he would go on a bama, which is a mizbeach that you make by yourself in your backyard, and he'd be makriv and olah. Because for a goy, apparently it's okay to be makriv on a bama. Once you turn Jewish, you can't do that anymore. That's his mitzvah. That's the avera that he would do. The avera that he would do. It is avera. If you're a Jewish person, you're makriv on a bama. That's an avera. So instead of stealing, instead of saying lashon hara, instead of doing immorality, he would be makriv himself on a not himself makriv.
Let's go learn that.
Makriv and olah.
Let's go learn something because we're getting a little bit off the deep end now. Doing human sacrifices.
Yeah. No, it's just interesting because today's Menakeh.
Interesting.
Maybe other people will. And these people speak English.
It's very interesting.
Menakeh. Rav Shimshon Pinchas said this. This is he
Rav
called.
Shimshon Pinchas was a great man. He was sad that he passed away.
You guys speak English? Them dabrim anglit?
Yeah.
All right, I have a question for you guys.
No, this is stupid.
I have a question. Come on. If you could do today is Yom Gimel Midos, right?
Okay.
Today is the 13th daf in Mesachas Beitzah. So that corresponds to which midah of Yom Gimel Midos?
Coffee.
V'chata v'nakeh. So yesterday is v'chata, today is v'nakeh. Yesterday you do an aveira, today you get kapara for it. So if you could do one aveira and you get kapara from Hashem, what aveira would you choose to do? You get complete kapara. Come on the camera. Come, let's see you guys. Come. What aveira would you do? You get. Yeah.
יש עבירה שהיית רוצה לעשות. אם אתה יודע שאתה יכול לכפר את זה. חילול שבת.
You got a free pass. Come. What's your name, guys' names? What's your names? Huh? Malva Baribis. That's what you do? You wouldn't make that much money. You might as well steal. This guy says he wants to be Malva Baribis. He wants to lend and get ribis from his lending. First of all, I don't know how much money he has that's going to be profitable off this ribis. But second of all, why don't you just steal?
Steal is harder. Malva Baribis, you could do it.
Steal is much easier to make money than the ribis. The ribis takes a long time to make money.
No, ribis is... If you have money,
how much ribis are you going to charge? People are not going to get
20% ribis.
20% ribis. People are not going to do a deal with you. They're going to do ribis, and they have to wait till the loan is over, and he might pay you back. All right, let's start the Gemara. The Mishnah says, I'm on Daf Yudalad Amud Aleph. Beishamay onim tavlin nidochen v'mado shalitz. Tavlin, spices, you can grind up in a mortar with a pestle of wood. A mortar is a kli. It's the type of utensil that you put spices in, big chunks of spices, and you grind them up with a mortar, a wooden mortar, a stone mortar. So you have to make a shinoi according to Beis Shammai, and you have to do it with a wooden pestle, a wooden stick, in order to make a shinoi, because even though tchina, grinding something up, is mutter for ochel nefesh, but that's only for a small quantity. If you do a big quantity, that's considered for l'machar, it's considered for after Yom Tov, it's an Isra Del Raisa. So therefore, even if you do a small quantity, you have to do a shino. It doesn't look like it's a machlokas, what do you have to do a shino or not? But according to Beis Shammai, you have to do a little bit of a shino in order to us to be sure that you're not doing the malacha of tchina for tomorrow, even though it's a small amount. Melech v'pach v'etzap, or melech, we'll see you need more of a shinoi for salt, a big clump of salt. Either you have to do it in an earthenware kli, not a stone or a wooden one, or you can use a wooden mixing stick, in order to crush it up, which is more of a shinoi. It says by spices you don't have to actually make a shinoi. In a mortar of stone. And salt you could do with a pestle of wood. So the Gemara says, everyone agrees that salt you have to do a shinoi, you have to actually alter your normal practice. My time, and what's the reason? Rav Huna or Rav Chisda? Why is melech considered necessitates more of a shinoi than spices? Rav Huna or Rav Chisda had an opinion about it. One of them says that melech, you knew you're going to need tomorrow. You always need melech. Every dish, every cooked food, you have to put salt in there. So since you have to put salt in there, you knew before Yom Tov that you need to crush up the salt, and you didn't do it. So therefore, it's a penalty because you could have crushed it up yesterday, and you didn't do that. So therefore, they asked her to midrabanan unless you do a shinoi, because you could have done it from yesterday. Again, this is all a gzeira. They shouldn't come to a mass grinding for tomorrow, for the day after Yom Tov. The second one gave a reason that other spices you can't do from yesterday. Why not? Because if you do it from yesterday, it's going to lose the sharpness of the spice. The spice won't be as spicy. Melech, if you do it from yesterday, is not going to lose its saltiness. So again, another reason why you could have done it yesterday. What's the practical difference between the two? The other if you knew yesterday what type of cooked food you were planning to cook on Yom Tov. So according to the first lashon, the first difference between melech and tavlin. So even for tavlin, you could have done it yesterday because you knew that you were going to need the tavlin. You knew you were going to need the spices from yesterday, so you should have done it. So therefore, as a penalty, you have to do a shinoi, like a salt shinoi. Inami, a difference between them. Inami, b'morika. We're talking about a case of saffron. Saffron is a very expensive spice. People don't know how expensive real saffron really is. It's karkom in the ketores. Saffron could sell. It's probably the most expensive spice. It could sell for, I don't know, maybe $6,000 a kilo. A kilo is 2.2 pounds. I mean, that's a lot of pounds for a little spice, but it's very expensive spice. Morika is something. It's a spice where it's not actually, even though it's a great spice, but if you do it from yesterday, it's not going to lose its taste by waiting a day. So you could have done it yesterday. So therefore, if it comes to saffron, according to the one who says mefigan taiman is the reason, so therefore you could have done it yesterday. So according to that lashon of mefigan taiman, the second reason, so therefore by Marika, you should have done it yesterday. So therefore you have to do more of a shino like melech. Amar Rabbi Yehuda Amar Shmuel, call me dochin gidarka. He argues on our Mishnah, a fil melech. He says even melech, even salt doesn't need a shino at all, as long as it's a small amount. So therefore they allowed you to do it, even though you could have done it yesterday. They allowed you to do it because it's only a small amount. So therefore they weren't gozer because tchina is mutter for ochel nefesh. Amar melech by a shinoi, but you said melech needs a shina. Huda Amar, the Mishnah says you need a shina. Huda Amar ki aitana desanya. Amar Meir al-nechlu beisham ve'ishil al-nidochin shenidochin gedarka. Shmuel, you just missed a major portion of the share.
Sorry.
You missed the difference between saffron and other spices.
What is it?
You know what saffron is?
I have no idea.
Saffron? What costs more, saffron or garlic powder?
What is?
Karkom. Karkom is from
it's a
Torah.
spice.
It's a spice,
Saffron.
yeah. Saffron. What costs more, garlic powder or saffron?
I don't know. I would say.
What costs more, salt or saffron?
Salt is nothing. Cold salt is nothing.
All right. What about garlic
Much
powder
I
or
even
saffron?
What?
Garlic powder or
I
saffron?
would say they're around the same price.
Around the same price. What
What
about
is this? Let's make a deal. This is what they used to do on Let's Make a Deal.
what costs?
What is it, Family Feud or something like
What costs more, black pepper or saffron?
that? Black pepper.
Okay, the third question. What costs more? This is a good one. Oregano or saffron?
Saffron. I don't know, I'm just guessing.
You got the last one right. Yeah, the last one's right. Saffron is a very expensive spice. It's
What is
probably the most
saffron?
expensive. It's carco. It's a plant they grow. It's a spice that comes from the saffron plant. And do you know that can cost upwards of $6,000 for a kilo?
Wow.
Do you know how expensive this stuff is?
I didn't know that.
It's very expensive.
Oh, you use it in the what do you call it? In the Kataris or something.
Yes, it's part of the Torah. It's carco.
So why do you have it here? What is you talking about? What?
Gemara brings it up. Morika. Morika is the Gemara word for saffron. All right.
Okay.
So the Gemara says, Shmuel says, "Hu the Amar Kaitana Desanya." He has another brisa. He has another brisa, which, according to Beis Hill, you don't need shina even from Melech. Amar Meir Lenechlu B'Sham Beis Hill Ani Dochen Shidochen Gedarkan. Everyone agrees that things that are ground up, they can be ground up without a shino in Melech Iman, as long as you do it, the salt together with the tavlin, with the spice. The machlokes Beis Beis Hill is to grind them up by themselves. Beitzah says Melech you have to do with either the earthenware kli or with a wooden mixing stick for roasting, but not for a kedera. Kedera you need more salt, so that you can't do at all. Beis Hill omrim b'chol davar. B'chol davar sakadaita. They say with anything. B'chol davar sakadaita. You can do it with anything. Ela ema lichol davar. Lichol davar meaning whatever you need, even if you need for a kedera, even if for a kedera, you're allowed to grind up salt by itself. So you see, Shmuel found Beis Hill, a Tana, which says Beis Hill holds that salt you can grind up even without a shinoi. Amalei Ravacha Bardla Lebrei Kidayach Atzluye V'doch. So even though the brisa, we found the brisa and Shmuel holds that Melech doesn't need even a shinoi, he says the Gemara really paskins that he should do a little shinoi when grinding up salt. You take the stone mortar and you turn it on its side, and you could actually use a stone pestle, and you can grind it up as long as you tilt it on its side. Rav Sheshes Shama called Buchna. Rav Sheshes heard a loud noise in his house. Amar Haylav Migave de Beitayu. He says this grinding up is not coming from my house. Maybe they were grinding up, but they listened to the halacha and they did it with the shinoi. They turned it on its side. The shami to have a tzal kala. He heard there was a clear sound, so it must be it was done in the normal way. With tavlin havu. Maybe it was tavlin. And tavlin we know you don't need a shinoi for, according to our Mishnah at least, according to Beis Hill. Tavlin ivuche men abeach kilayu. Tavlin are much louder sound. This was a clear, low sound. Tanarabana. In Osin Tisni ben Koshim Makteshet. You're not allowed to make tisni. Tisni is basically a dish of wheat kernel that you grind up into 4 pieces. You grind the kernel of wheat into 4 pieces. And you can't grind in a regular grinder, in a regular stone mortar. Tarti. Why does it say, it's basically saying the same thing. Basically, in order to make tisni, you have to grind it up with a makteshet. What's the reason you can't make tisni? Because you can't use a regular mortar. Belema and Koshin, we're talking about, we'll see what type of mortar we're talking about. Belema and Koshin Maktesha. Just say the Beitzah, you don't use a regular grinder without a shino. Itani ein Koshin Maktesha, Havamina, Hani Milaktesha Gdola. I would have said that's talking about a big Maktesha, a big grinder. About Maktesha Tana, but a small one, Imashaber Dami. Kamash Blan, therefore it says, in kosher maktesh, even a small grinder you're not allowed to. Tanya, the Brisa says in kosher maktesh is dola. Ava kosher maktesh is tana. The Brisa says you could use a small grinder. Amar Abai, Gitanya Masisa maktesh is dola Tanya. He says that the Brisa, when it says you don't make tisni and in kosher maktesh, that wasn't talking about a small grinder. We're talking about a big grinder. We're going back to original assumption. And really, the halacha is telling you 2 things. First of all, it's telling you you don't make tisni, right? Even with a small grinder. But if you don't grind up the kernels into 4 parts, you grind it up into 2 parts or 3 parts, then you could use a small grinder. And also, you can't use a big grinder. So there's 2 different halachas which come out. Rava answers differently. Lo kasha halan v'halahu. You don't have to say the Bryce which says that you can't use. The Bryce really, when it says don't make tisni and you don't use makteshas, that was talking about a small one. And and that was talking about in Eretz Yisrael. Eretz Yisrael, people, the avodim, the servants, they used to switch. They used to make a ruse. They used to tell everyone they're using machteshes katana, and really they're using a machteshes gdola. So therefore, they disallowed even a machteshes katana. The Beitzah, which says you can use a katana, that's talking about Bavel. And in Bavel, they didn't trick, the avodim didn't trick people. Papi Iklo Bei Mar Shmuel, he came to the house of Mar Shmuel. I see like Daisa. They brought for him some porridge. He wouldn't eat it. The Dilma Mateshes Tana Abdullah. We said before he was in Bavel, and according to Rava, we hold like you can grind it up in a small grinder, a normal way, right? Our Mishnah is talking about a small grinder, right? That's what we're talking about. Mateshes Dola, it looks like you're doing it for tomorrow. Mateshes Tana is that's what our Mishnah was talking. You don't do a shinoi. The chazi to have a dayik tfei. He saw that it was very ground up, very finely. So therefore, he saw it was even it was a big machtesh. It was an industrial one, and therefore it's a problem. Maybe they did it from before Yom Tov. Chazi to have a kalif sahari. He saw it was a shiny white. So therefore, it was very fresh. So he saw that it was done today. By saying a shiny beimar shmuel even though it was in Bavel, in Mar Shmuel's house, the avodim were liars. They were tricksters. So therefore they probably used Machteshes Dola, and they said, even though they were not allowed to use Machteshes Dola. Therefore, we know if Malach is done on Yom Tov, you can't partake of it. It's called Maisei Shabbos or Maisei Yom Tov, right? Mishnah, Habor Kitnis Bi Yom Tov. Someone who he wants to borer again is Malacha, but you're allowed to do it for Ochel Nefesh. But you only do it in small quantity. Do a big quantity is considered to be for Lamachar, and it's considered to be Asra. Habor Kitnis Bi Yom Tov. Bishami says you have to actually take the ochel, you have to take the food out from the psolas, the waste part. You have to take the food. You can't take the waste and take away the waste. That's Allah on Shabbos, right? You have to take the ochel not psolas. He says that on Yom Tov you're allowed to do borer. Shabbos you're not allowed to do borer. You're allowed to take the psolas away. You're allowed to take the psolas away. Even in his lap, or with a funnel or a plate. These are like small ways of separating things. Not with a big board and not with a fine sieve, a coarse sieve. These types of sieves are professional instruments, and it's like you're doing it l'machar and b'yasim d'raiser. And Leel says you could even put the mixture of ochel and psolas and water and let the psolas float to the top, and that's a way of borer. That seems to be even more makel. Tanya, when did they still allow you to take the psolas away when there's more ochel than psolas? If there's more waste than ochel, everyone agrees even psolas mode, you have to take the ochel, not the psolas. Where it says psolas murubal ochel mi'ikamad the shari. If there's more psolas than ochel, so the entire thing is considered muksa. There's more psolas than ochel. You can't touch even the ochel. Oh no, we're really talking about in terms of quantity. There's less psolas than ochel. Except it's harder to remove if you remove the psolas, it's much more work. So therefore, on Yom Tov, one of the big things on Yom Tov is to avoid tircha yisera. We don't want you to expend extra energy. We want you to relax, to rest. Right, to go swimming in a swimming pool, right, Shmuel? Yeah, Shmuel goes diving in a swimming pool. He has a big diving board in his backyard, 10 feet up.
Backyard, I didn't have a porch. What do I have?
He dives off his porch to the swimming pool below.
To the cement.
He does the corkscrew maneuver in his dive.
Right.
He has 2 corkscrews and 1 flip. All right. Anyway,
1 saber.
Saber? That's on sukkahs, right? Saber. He prefers saber fencing as opposed to foil or epi. Okay. So the Gemara says, "Nafesh b'tircha v'zutar b'shira." There, it's less of a tircha. It's more of a tircha. That's why you're supposed to take the ochel, not the psolas. This was the minhag in the house from Gamliel. They would bring a pail that was filled with lentils. They pour some water in there. They would end up with the psolas, the waste would float to the top, and the ochel would be on the bottom, and therefore it was separated. The Beitzah is the opposite. The ochel was on top, and the psolas was on the bottom. If there was straw, the psolos was straw, it would float to the top. If it was dirt, the dirt would go to the bottom, and the ochel would be on top of it. The Mishnah. You can only send to someone as a gift prepared cooked foods, portions of food, right? Like those Meals on Wheels. Meals on Wheels. They send you those packages, institutionalized packages that they get on yeshivas and seminaries, like that are covered. Prison, I think they give them out. Like you have like a little green beans and a little rice and a little chicken.
TV dinners.
TV dinners, yeah, exactly. Mesil allows you to send even live animals because you could really shech them on Yom Tov. You can send the wines and oils and flour, the kitnios and legumes or beans. You can't send raw wheat. Hashem allows you raw wheat because you could technically cook it and eat it, even though most people don't eat it. So the basic idea of this Mishnah is you're not allowed to send things unless they'll be able to be consumed on Yom Tov. Tani, Rabbi Yechiel, said Mashura. Even though we said you could send presents, foods to people, because it looks like they're going to use it on Yom Tov, you can't make it a row of people taking it, because then it's like it looks like you're doing business. You're going to do business. Tana ein shora pusa mishlosha bnei adam. In order to consider a shura, a line of people, it has to be at least 3 people. By Rav Ashi, tlasa gabri, tlasa mini mai teiku. What about if you have 3 people on the line, but they have 3 different types of food? Is that considered a line also? That'll be usher or not? Where says take? We're not sure. If you send raw wheat, in order they can make it into ludios is a type of food made out of raw wheat. So orin, if you cook it and then you eat it like that. So orin, raw barley you can give as animal fodder. Lentils you can make into this food called resisin, which is basically you cook the raw lentils and you make into quick food. You're allowed to send clothes whether they're sewed or not sewed. They're not ready to be worn completely. You have kilayim and you're allowed to send them. As long as you plan on using it, it's able to be used for the moed. But you can't send a shoe which has spikes coming out of it, or not a shoe that's not completely sewn together. Also, you can't send a white shoe because they used to only wear black shoes, not white shoes. You're not allowed to wear sneakers, according to Allah. I'm joking. That's why the original Air Jordans were black, because of this halacha. They're black because Jews, they were meant for Jews, and Jews can't wear white shoes. Anything which you can hold the klal is anything which you can potentially use on Yom Tov, then you can send it. Otherwise, it looks like you're sending for tomorrow, for after Yom Tov, and it looks bad for Yom Tov. If the clothes are sewed up, you can wear them. Even if it's not sewn up, you can use it to cover you as like a blanket. But kilayim you can't use. You're not allowed to wear kilayim. Maybe you'll just fold them and sit on it. Pasuk says you shouldn't bring kilayim on top of you. Torah, you're allowed to spread it underneath you, to sit on top of it. Chachamim said it's also midrabanan to do this because maybe while you're sitting on it, a little strand of the garment will come on top of you, and you'll with a mafsik midi beni. Maybe you'll tell me you'll put something between that and the kilayim so it won't go on top of you. Amar Rishon ben Pazi, Amar Rishon ben Levi, Amar Yosef ben Shmuel, Amar Red Mishum Kala Klish Yerushalayim. I feel estimate so Zua Gabizu v'kilayim tachlei noser. Even if it's 10, they made a low plug. Even if it's 10 coverings between you and the kilayim, it's still aser. Aser lisha alayim. It's a zera. It's a low plug. Ella bevilo. So we're talking about a kilayim. We're talking about a curtain. Amar Ula. And the curtain is used to divide a room. We said that a vilon could actually, it's not like the walls of a house, it could actually contract tumah. Why? Because the shamish, the servant, actually covers himself in it for warmth. So you see that as a problem. A vilon can't use it. Elabakashin. What are you talking about? Kilayim, and the Mishnah is talking about hard kilayim. Therefore, if you sit on it, it's not gonna roll on top of you, the threads, and it won't be usher. Wish you a good day. The Gimel are over. Tomorrow's daf. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.